Hi, and welcome to Champion Group. We are so excited to be partnering with you for this amazing event for your organization. Champion Group has done over 2,500 major fundraising events throughout the U.S. and Canada and have raised approximately $100 million to date. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Edna Wilson. I'm Vice President here at Champion. I've been here for almost 10 years now, and I've seen it all. But I want to let you know I'm available to you. So I've put my contact information right here on the screen. If you need anything throughout your campaign, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm available. But let's first talk about what type of events you might be doing. You might be doing a clay shoot event, or a bowl-a-thon, or maybe a carnival or a golf tournament, or even our signature event called Feed the Need. Whichever your event is, I want you to know the principles are always the same. Let's talk about what those principles are. Number one, be committed to your job. It's only 12 weeks. You got this. Number two, follow the program. Any shortcuts will definitely hurt your event, and we'll talk about some of those in your second half of your training. Then select a quality host team. Remember, you're going to live and breathe with these people for the next few weeks, so you're going to want to like them, and they're going to have to do their job, and you're going to do your job. Number four, launch your event with a strong and aggressive start. This is really talking about that kickoff event and how important it is to get people out there and get them excited about what we're doing. And then last, number five, follow the timeline. Phase. I likened it to a duck, where the duck is on top of the water, his feet underneath are just going like crazy, but on top he looks nice and smooth. So we're going to kind of be a little hush-hush about the details of this event at this point. And then week 9 through 5, we're going to start getting the word out, letting people know what's coming, letting them know about the kickoff, sending out save the date invitations and your kickoff invitations. Then around week 5, we're going to have that great big kickoff event. And whether it's an adult kickoff or a school-wide kickoff or a ministry kickoff, we're going to make this the most exciting, fun time throughout the whole campaign. It's going to be a party. But then after the party's over with is where the work starts. And we're going to ask each of your participants to send out 30 or more text messages or emails or even snail mails to their friends and family throughout the campaign to basically raise peer-to-peer support. Then, of course, the day of the event comes, we have a celebration time, and then, it's all over with. We can relax. But for now, let's shift a little bit to talk about how Champion works and why it works. It's a very different principle than probably anything you've seen before. So Champion works in one way, in the fact that we get everyone out there fundraising. In a traditional event, you might have that one person who's kind of digging into their network and using their contacts to raise money for the organization, but not with Champion. We know there's power in numbers. So we're going to ask 40 or more people to get out there and start asking their friends and family. And why does that work? It works because each of those people know different people. They all have different networks of people that they associate with. And it also works because of the power relationship, because we know people give to people. For instance, today in the mail, if you get a letter from your niece, and one from the American Red Cross, and one from the American Cancer Society, all asking for money, who are you going to give to? Your niece, because it's who you have a strong connection with. But we feel like even here at Champion, it's even more than that. We actually have studied the scriptures and have found that there's actually fundraising in the Bible. I know, crazy. But in Exodus 35, you can see right here in the scriptures that Moses is actually commanded to fundraise, to build a tabernacle. And I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. You can see the real scripture here on the screen. But the story basically goes that Moses is called by God to build a tabernacle. And so in my mind's eye, Moses goes out through each of the tent doors, and he's knocking on the tent doors and saying, hey, so God called me to build a tabernacle, and I'm supposed to get gold, linen, and silver to build this thing, and do you have anything you want to give? Now here's a great thing about that scripture, and I love this. You'll see this right here, in verse 4, where it says, everyone who is willing to bring to the Lord an offering. So notice, from all who have a heart to give. So we believe that God has actually already called people to give to your campaign. So yours is not an arm-twisting fundraising campaign, but it's a discovery process of where has God already called these people. So Moses had to go ask, just like God has called you to go ask. But then it's great because then you read on in Exodus 36 and you see that God has so stirred the hearts of the people to give that Moses actually has to hold his hands up and say, stop, we have enough. Don't bring any more. I doubt seriously your organization has ever said, stop, don't send any more money. We have enough. But in scriptures, we see that's a true principle. So no, God has already done the work. Yours is nothing more than a discovery process to know and to find who has God stirred in their heart. There's a few more principles I like to go over. The next one is the power of accountability. We know that we have to be accountable not only to our being in our meetings, like you'll have to be in your meetings every week, but that it's okay to hold your parents accountable. We're going to ask everyone to sign a commitment card at your kickoff event. So whether it's a parent or a volunteer, or maybe it's just a friend or a family member who's going to raise money for your organization, it's okay to hold them accountable and say, thanks so much for signing a commitment card. You ready to sign up? That's okay. And then next, know that we're going to set really high standards and expectations. We're going to ask each of your fundraisers to raise anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500. That's a lot of money. But know that everything in print says best effort towards raising $2,500. So they don't have to write a check if they don't hit the mark, but we're definitely headed that way. And we want you to try. And let's see what God does, right? It's another tent knocking. Then lastly, on this page, the use of volunteers. Oh my goodness. I know you know about volunteer burnout. You've probably experienced that yourself. But consider volunteer boredom just as deadly to your organization. Volunteer boredom basically is when a volunteer has taken the day off work. They come and they're assigned to work the popcorn machine, and there's 5 other people working the popcorn machine, and there's nothing for them to do. That is awful. So we want to make sure that we have assigned the right amount of volunteers to the right task. And your champion coach will help you do that. So don't hesitate to reach out and let us help you in that process. Principle number 7, inspect what you expect. Oh, this is so important. So let's say you have a volunteer who has said, hey, Edna, I have all the pizzas. Donate it because I know the Papa John's guy down the street and he's amazing. I know he'll give us all the pizzas. Don't assume you're going to get to Dave event and have pizzas. You want to inspect it. So you want to basically ask that next question. Really? What's his contact number? Can I talk to him too? Can we go together? Make sure you're inspecting it, or else you might not have pizzas on your day of event. And then the rule of 150. This really applies if you're having a clay shoot or a golf tournament. But if you want 40 or more adult participants to participate in your event, you have to ask 150 people. It's imperative. So with that, make sure that you just know that you have to ask and ask and ask some more. And 2/3 are going to say no. And that's okay. God hasn't called them if they say no. Then next, just know that there's one way to raise money. And that's to ask. Oh, we just said ask. Just ask some more. So it's that discovery process again. And there's different ways to discover. It doesn't matter if it's a text message, if it's an email, if it's a piece of paper in the mail, or if it's a face-to-face. Just, they have to feel asked. So make sure you don't just blast out spam-looking emails or spam-looking text messages, but that you're really asking people. Lastly, I want you to know that there are some really important management principles that will be in play throughout your event. Let's just run through these. Number 1, you cannot manage what you do not know. Got to be involved. Got to be having those weekly meetings. Please make sure you do that. No news is always bad news. If your corporate sponsor captain hasn't talked to you yet, I can guarantee you he does not have $30,000 raised. It just is not going to happen. So make sure that you're talking to your people. Encourage and support your participants in their fundraising efforts. Make sure that you're out there and you're cheering them on and that you're excited about what they're doing and they know that what they do matters because they are asking the question, does what I do even matter? Then remember to be a participant in this event, a signed commitment card, a personal sponsorship, and sending out their 30 text messages or emails is what qualifies you to be a participant. Otherwise, you don't get to participate. And then number 5, honestly evaluate your fundraising efforts. And your event coach is going to help you do this, but we want to make sure that we're in there and we're really looking at how to look at how many people are participating, how many people are not participating. We're going to be honestly evaluating that. And then number 6, keep a high level of competition among your participants. Make sure that you're doing fun things. We've had schools that have had, if the school hit their goal, they were going to duct tape the principal to the wall in the gym. We've had ministries that has said if they hit a certain goal that their executive director would wear a tutu at the golf tournament. That was hysterical. So make sure you're always keeping that high level of competition among everybody. And no, it's better to be honest now than sorry later. Deal with problems now. Don't push them under the rug. Don't say they don't matter. They matter. So make sure you're always dealing with those. So that's it. This is your first half of your training. Aren't you excited to be a part of this? It's going to be so much fun. And I promise you, it's a little bit of work, but it'll be over with before you know it. And it's going to be well worth it. Have a blessed, blessed day. Hi, and welcome to your second half of your training. This is showing you how to enter offline donations, how to log in, and how to pull reports. Very important things to know as you go through your event. The first thing you need to do is go to mobilecause.com, and you've been assigned a username and probably a generic password you want to change when you log in. So you're just going to click login. You come to this page where you'll see the name of your organization here. Do not click on the name of your organization over to the left. You're going to sign in right here, log in as admin. That's where you're going to want to log in right there. And this might look a little different than you, but this will look the same. So fundraising, you're going to go to crowdfunding peer-to-peer. All of our campaigns are under crowdfunding peer-to-peer. You're going to click on your keyword. By the way, this is where you find your keyword. Remember when we say you can text 71777 with your keyword? This is your keyword right here. And here's a list of all the fundraisers and how much money they've raised. It's nice to know you'll be able to see right here how much they've raised, how many donors has happened, how many fundraisers we have signed up. So this is a super nice way to be able to just kind of get a quick overview of what you have. Now, if you want to export this list, you can do that easily from here by clicking export. This will show you every person who's donated to a personal keyword. This will not show you, on the other hand, anybody who's given to the main page. When I say the main page, that could be corporate sponsors, that could be somebody who didn't have a relationship, they just wanted to give to the campaign. Could be somebody who accidentally gave to the campaign when they meant to give to a person. If that's the case, you can reach out to us at support@championevents.com and we'll get that donation moved for you. That said, I'd like to show you a few things in here that will make your job a little easier. The first is, what do you do when you get a check in the mail? You come here to the crowd fundraising peer-to-peer and you're going to go enter offline donations. As you enter the offline donations, you have the opportunity to make it anonymous or to fill it in with Mickey Mouse's information. Now, if you have the keyword here, if you have the address, you can fill it out. Is not required. The only thing that's required is the amount and choosing the type. This is a paid by mail. And then you get to pick a fundraiser. Everybody who's registered will be listed here as a fundraiser, so we're going to give it to myself and enter the donation. Now you can see clearly here at the bottom that a donation was just given by Mickey Mouse to Edna on this date, and you can delete it here if you need to change it and re-enter it, or you can just leave it alone and now it's entered. That's all there is to entering offline donations. The last thing I want to show you also in here is the reporting. So in the reporting, you're going to go to search transactions. This is a great way to be able to pull for your classroom reports, for anything you have that's coming up. So you're going to do, well, let's do last year's campaign, or this year's campaign, or you can customize the dates. If you're running competition, you need to know that everything's been entered the last 7 days. You can do that, 30 days, or customize your dates. That said, if we don't put anything in here to search, then it's just going to search everything. It's going to pull up your whole export, your whole list, which is nice. Now, because there was no transactions to show, because no one gave by credit card donations to our demo site, there's nothing in here. But typically you would see tons and tons of names and all their different things. And if you want to export that, you would just simply go here to export, click export. This will export the whole list. Click download, and either it'll pop up, or if it's a bigger list, sometimes it'll send you an email saying, wait just a minute, we'll get it to you for just a second. Now, that just pulls credit card donations. If you notice that when we went to search transactions, we had credit cards clicked here. Unfortunately, it doesn't let you click credit card and offline. So you're going to need to pull a second report called offline donations. Same thing, we're going to do this year. Click search. And I know it's a little bit of a workaround, but it's really not that bad. And now you can see the donations that were given this year. And you're going to do export. Again, the whole list, download. And it's going to send you a file in Excel or in CSV. This is a great way to be able to sort your donations and to be able to do thank you notes, things like that. Speaking of thank you notes, anyone who gets an online donation immediately gets a thank you note with a receipt. If they give an offline donation, then they do not automatically get a thank you note because a lot of times we don't have their email address. So we recommend at the end of the campaign pulling a final offline donation report and then doing a mail merge in Word that allows you to send a thank you note with a receipt to every single person. That's a nice, easy way to do the thank you notes at the end of the campaign. The last thing I want to show you is our communication marketing. We actually have the ability to do what we call reverse texting. So everybody who has signed up for an event is able to be sent a text message that you're able to actually use it to promote a campaign that you're going through, or maybe a contest. Maybe someone got a really big donation, so you want to celebrate it right here. This is the place that we want to make sure that we celebrate all that. Another place you can go for help is to our website at champevents.com. A lot of times during the day we'll have our chat service on, which you can chat a message here, or better yet, go to client access. You should have been given a password that'll get you right in here. It'll ask you for a password the first time you sign in. But you can actually go down and look for data information. In fact, a lot of times I will just do Control F, which will bring up a box over here. Donations is listed on the page. You can do it like that. How do I enter offline donations? Here's all your different information for that. So all these FAQs are here for you. You can go ahead and click here for answers. And here you go, all the different places of how to enter donations, how to enter offline donations, how to pull keywords are here, how to pull your donation reports. It's all here for you. So anything you need, it's right here for you. All right. Well, that said, that's kind of how we do it. Stay tuned if you're a school. We're going to do a little classroom competition explanations, and that will help you tremendously. As we look at classroom competitions, we know a couple things are true. We know that we absolutely have to make it easier on the donor, which requires us to make it a little bit harder on the schools. Sorry for that, guys. But here's the problem. We have yet to find a program that will allow us to raise money as a family, but then yet decipher how many kids are in that family and throw it into a spreadsheet. I know there's some of you math geniuses out there who know how to do that, but we can't figure it out, and we've got to make it easier on grandma, right? Because grandma's what it's all about. So in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have a way to have classroom competitions. Those classroom competitions are so important, and hey, this isn't that bad. Actually, it's a little bit fun. So enjoy this little tutorial on how to do classroom competitions. First thing you're going to do is pull up your mobile call site, and you're going to download or export the participant list. That way you actually know who has raised how much money by what family. It's very simple to do. You log in, you hit export, it downloads into a CSV file. Well, CSV stands for comma separated value. Now that you have your list, all you need to do is put it in alphabetical order. This way, it's going to be very easy to compare when you actually get a list of teachers and students from the school. Very simple to do. You want to make sure you have the teacher name on there so that we are able to actually sort by teacher name. That way we can give each teacher a list of what they have done in either classroom. So follow along. The first thing I would say that you would need to do after you have both of your lists ready to go, remember we have one from the school that lists all those students and the teachers, and then one from the program that lists who's raised how much money. I would actually pull up the Excel spreadsheet with two different columns, so you have your spreadsheets literally side by side. This way you're able to see alphabetically, side by side, who has raised money. Now remember, on the one side, which is your right hand side, that's the sheet we pulled from the system. That side is actually not going to have every single family, because not every single family has raised money. So you simply need to compare. So as you're looking and comparing, you would just take the one family and put it into the other family, and vice versa. That way you're just transferring that money. Now here's the thing. If Johnny raises $100, $300, whatever Johnny raises, we want to take that money that Johnny's raised and we want to divide it by his siblings, right? So you can see here that Johnny has raised $300 and he has 3 siblings. Well, 3 including himself. So we're actually going to take the $300, put $100 in each classroom. I know that seems like a little bit of work, but it goes very quickly once you get started. We want to repeat this throughout the whole spreadsheet. Now remember, we're making it easier on Grandma because she needs to only give 1 time, not 3 times. Now let's talk about why we do that a little bit more. Some schools, they put the full 300 in every single classroom. Well, the problem becomes, as you do that, is that it overinflates your thermometers. So sure enough, you're going to have a mathematician somewhere in your school that's going to go around and start just in their head adding up all the thermometers and go, wait a second. Now, you said we only raised $25,000, but the thermometers add up to $50,000. How could that even be possible? Well, it's possible because we're not dividing it out. I would really encourage you, let's go ahead and take the little bit extra time, divide it out, use a calculator, make sure that each thermometer is exactly accurate. So if you added up all the thermometers in the school, it would actually equal the true amount that we've raised. Now, we don't want you being overly burdened with this, so pick a week, one day a week that you're going to be doing this, whether it's Thursday and then Fridays are competition day, what have you. But on Thursday afternoons, you pull that report. Everybody in the school knows that Thursday afternoons are the day that you pull the report. You spend the Thursday evening putting together the tallies for a Friday morning competition or announcement or presentation. Now, honestly, one of the things you are going to run into is that you might have some blended families in your school. And what happens in a blended family situation is that you have different last names. So, one thing you might want to consider doing is making an extra column in your master classroom spreadsheet that actually has like maybe family last name, so that you're able to very quickly go, oh, all right, that's the Williams family. Now the Williams have 4 kids, 2 of them last name Williams, 2 of them last names Cody. So we want to make sure that those kids are recognized in those different categories, but as a family, their goal is still to raise $1,500. That makes sense, right? Consider that as you're taking your spreadsheet and you're doing it, that you might have some blended families or some different adoptive families or what have you that have different last names. Now back to our spreadsheet. On the spreadsheet itself, we're going to want to make sure that you sort by student's name first, then by teacher name. You simply do that by highlighting the column that has a teacher's name in it. In the top right hand side, clicking sort A to Z. That's going to automatically put all your teachers in groups. The cool thing is, now that you have all your teachers in groups like shown here on the screen, you can easily highlight those sections simply by taking your cursor, dragging, clicking, highlighting those sections, and then open up your print model, and then you can just click print selection or print selected. And that way, when you print a report, it's just going to print exactly what's in that selected item. It's not going to print the whole report. And you can easily give the teachers a quick view of how much their students have raised and who's raising money. Pretty simple to do. Now, don't be afraid to give your teachers a full report if that's okay with your administrator. That's not a bad thing either. Now let's talk about what it might look like. The thermometers. We want to make sure that all the thermometers are equal. So how do you do that when each classroom has different sizes and different amounts of students? So this is the way that we here at Champion have deduced to be able to do the different thermometers in the way that we know how. Let's look at Mrs. Jones' class. She has raised $3,200. Now she has 15 students in her class. If each student has a goal of $350, her goal should be $5,250. So if she's raised $3,200, her percentage of what she has raised is 61%. Now Mr. Stein's class has 22 students in it. So you take 22 students times the 350, that's $7,700. If they've raised $3,200, their percentage towards their goal is only 41%. This way we keep it super fair across the board for everyone. No one has to be at a disadvantage because they have less students or an advantage because they have more students. It's straight up across the board. Of course, we want everyone to hit 100%, but this is a great way that we can start by having goals. I hope you found this super helpful. Remember that Champion is here for you. I want to make sure though, if you're taking on this task, that you're a numbers person. So make sure you're a numbers person and have a blessed day. We're so excited to be working for you. Anything we can do to help, anything, you just give us a call and your coach or your consultant will be there for you. Wishing you great success in your mission.